west side, river to river. Jesus.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. The present New York City budget has been raised from, I think, $108 billion to $114 billion for the fiscal year 24-25. And I did some survey of study to what percentage of that is for payroll and other payments and expenses of the city of New York. Now, that's not the gross net income or the GDP of New York City. That's just the budget that New York City has to deal with in terms of dealing with its employees et al. But the most of that goes for payroll of the employees of New York City. And a little bit more research that I did, I discovered that the average salary for a commissioner, in the event you want to go down to New York City to be a commissioner with me, the average salary for a commissioner in New York City is $214,988 a year. When you do a breakdown of that salary of a commissioner, with fire commissioner, police commissioner, education, whatever might be the case, in terms of a commissioner of an agency, the hourly salary for a New York City commissioner is $103.36 per hour. It totals up to $4,134 per week that the average commissioner earns, and that's the starting salary. When you compare that to the minimum wage of people working on minimum wage jobs who earn only $15 per hour, and the city commissioner earns $106 per hour, you can see the great discrepancy between the two. The minimum wage earner earns $600 per week, and the average commissioner earns $4,134 per week. So you can see that what's happening in the equality of our economy, there's a great, if you will, gulf fixed between those who have the power and those who don't. The New York City headcount, in which I plan to fill a lot of jobs when I go to become the mayor of New York City, I plan to handpick and choose people that will fill the jobs, that will do the service, that will serve me as a servant of the people of New York once I become the mayor. And that is the job of the mayor. That's his responsibility, to fill the vacant areas of the population, for the population. And the total head count right now of number of people that are employed by New York City is 306,248 people at present that work for New York City. However, several great commissioners, or deputy commissioners rather, resigned over the last couple of weeks, looking at what's happening with Mayor Eric Adams. But I do plan to be a part of, and the overseer and the administrator of filling those positions, 306,000 jobs, and the average salary of a commissioner and others within that salary range, and to oversee that $114 billion budget that will be applied or given to New York City's mayor to distribute according to the needs of the city. The U.S. Census Bureau has indicated that 1.5 million people at present live in poverty here in New York City. Now, New York City is reputed to have 8.some million people, 8.8 million people. So 1 out of every 5 person you see that passes by you on the street in New York lives in poverty. 420 million people, in addition to the 1.5, 420 million people, or children rather, also live in 420,000, pardon me, million, that would be a lot. 420,000 people children live in poverty also in New York City. And what I plan to do and will do and can do is, once becoming the mayor of this city, is to infuse $40 billion into New York City, into Manhattan, into Queens, and Staten Island, Brooklyn, Bronx, and with the plans that we have in terms of raising the minimum wage, which on its own, just in one of the programs of policies that we will put forward, would infuse $40 billion into, and mainly into working class neighborhoods is where that money would go. Mind you, you need to know that the wealthy, those on the Upper East Side and the East Side, and those of great wealth would probably not even feel a notice any income deductions in their income. But for the poor, $40 billion into neighborhoods that are working class neighborhoods would change the texture of this city. And I'm going to be more definitive about that as time goes by. Now, if I get the opportunity to debate or to make my programs, policies public to those that will listen to me. I don't know who will, but if they do. And of course, by raising the minimum wage, we have seen, you probably heard me talk about, seen in some of the programs that we have projected so far, it would raise the minimum wage for most people for about $26,000 more per year. And we would give an average, however, by raising the minimum wage from $15 to $27 per hour and other, if you will, ancillary jobs or programs would give an average of about $30,000 per year to neighborhoods right now. An additional $30,000 to the people that live in working class neighborhoods would be the increase, $30,000 above their present salary, whatever their present salary, and even if you don't work for minimum wage, the increase would affect all working class people. So that needs to be clear, and I can explain exactly how we're going to do that. I want you to stand for just a second. To understand inflation, you hear the word all the time, and right now we're at 6% of inflation. That percentage of inflation over wage and other instances in terms of income economically is at 6.6% of where it was, let's say, a year ago or year over year. Inflation means simply this. And by the way, this is not a political speech. You probably say, oh, he must be practicing some sort of political. No, it isn't. This is for you. I'll get to them later. This is for you. So inflation is when the price of food and the cost of food and profits for corporation goes up. In other words, there's a 6% increase on the price of bacon or bread or eggs or whatever. As you know, that's more than 6%, but in general, when you put it all together. So inflation is when prices go up, but wages and salaries remain the same. You see, if last year, 2023, the price of eggs was $2.24 and your salary was $60,000 a year, that's an Steven event. But if your salary remains at $60,000 per year and the eggs go up to $4.24 per dozen of eggs, that is inflation. That the price has gone up, but your ability to buy has not gone up. Your salary has not gone up. So we need to understand what they're talking about in inflation, and we'll talk about stagflation a little bit later on. And again, this is not a speech that I'm making politically. This is for you. That we're able to go up and take the city, but you need to know what we are taking when we take the city. When we take the city, we're taking a $114 billion entity that's going to be put in my hands. We're taking an opportunity for me to put people in positions in the city of New York that are now positioned by people that don't know God, don't care nothing about God, don't care nothing about you. They're political hacks. They've been put in those positions by politicians. And if I put you in position, well, I'll be following the same trick that they were following, but not with the same unkindness towards the poor. But certainly with no sympathy for the rich and the wealthy would I not have for them, for they already have had their time. You can take your seats. So I plan to increase the income economically of the poor and the working class. And when I win the primary, and that's a process. I win the primary, which happens in June of this year. First, we have to get on the ballot by getting registered, and you need to get on the job of getting people registered, and with Captain Elder Salem will be about that business as soon as he returns. He and his wife are on a mission of giving birth. Well, his wife is giving birth today. But when I win the primary, before the general election, first you win the primary, you run against whoever people are in your particular party. For instance, right now, the only person I know that's in the Republican Party, which I am, but I'm not a Donald Trump MAGA Republican. I'm, God forbid that anybody would ever consider me to be a MAGA or Trump Republican. I'm more of an Eisenhower, if you will, Colin Powell, if you must, Ronald Reagan Republican, if that can be said. But when I win the primary, then the two winners of the primaries would then head off into a general election. There are two candidates running, one who's was a Republican, the other's a Democrat. And in November, the election will be held to determine who can win the general election and thusly become the mayor. But when I win the primary, without winning the election, when I win the primary, that's why it's important that everybody possible will help me win the primary. Right now, Curtis Lewa is the only Republican I know that's running, and one of note, and I think very prejudicially, the Republican Party has gone ahead and endorsed him, but that's okay. Well, it isn't okay, but I'll live with it. When I win the primary, that will be in June, I will call a meeting of Key Food. Key Food is the largest supermarket chain in New York City. They have 291 outlets or stores in the New York City area, Key Food does. Then there's the other one called Aldi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but you've probably seen it as well. It also has 190 or so stores in the New York City area selling food. And then there are others as well, supermarkets that sell food. I plan to call a general meeting with these. Walmart, that doesn't have a large presence in New York City, but people in New York City drive outside of New York City to shop at Walmart. I plan to call a meeting with Key Food, Aldi, Walmart, Costco's, what's that other? Kroger is in Midwest, Winn-Dixie South, and Piggly Wiggly. And then there's JB's, I think, or BJ's. BJ's, yeah, that one. I plan to summon them to a meeting with me here at the church. Now, I haven't won the mayor's office. I don't have City Hall. I haven't won yet. But if I win the primary, that'll be it. In terms of, and the reason why I will call the meeting of these food purveyors right after the primary is because we can't wait to November to bring food prices down. We need to get together now and bring the price of food down. And again, this is not a political speech. It isn't. You'll see in just a moment. It isn't. It's just a call to you. And I'll call a conference of all of these food purveyors and tell them they must do something about either their investors or the way the profits are being taken at the top of the, if you will, employee chain or the representative chain, that there must be a cutting back on their profits in terms of the employees of these various institutions so that the prices of food can be brought down. And they can. Prices can come down. And the reason why prices are not coming down is because nobody's taking any measure to bring the prices down. And people can't wait. I mean, people are now struggling to buy food or pay rent and also to buy medication. I'll also call a meeting with the U.S. Department of Agriculture in terms of the services and subsidies they give to farmers for their products that we might be able to bring prices down even before they reach the market. If I lose the primary, if I win the primary, I will win the general election. There's no doubt about that. If I win the primary. And if I win the primary, I certainly will win. But if I lose the primary, it will be for one reason and one reason only. Well, maybe two or three that are addendums to that one reason. If I lose the primary, it will be because I've made a commitment that I am not going to rich people and powerful people to finance my campaign. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to ask them for one red cent. I'm not going to do it because obviously if I do, then it will be them that I serve. If I win, it'll be because poor people have decided that putting aside all of their uneducated, if you will, unbiblical, ungodly misunderstandings of me and recognize that I am the person that's going to help them put food on the table, have a better life, have a better place to live, no matter what my political, biblical ideas may be. When I become the winner, they're going to win as well. A win for me is going to be a mega win for them, and they need to understand that. Put aside all that pettiness. And I'm going to help them. I realize they have to be educated. I understand that because there's been an infusion of filth into the minds of the voting population. There's been an infusion of confusion and lies and anti-God and anti-Bible that people now believe. I mean, it's the craziest things that you ever want to see. And one of the reasons why the Democrats lost the presidential election, they spent too much time trying to get trannies recognized as a viable people here in America. I mean, they spent all that time on that, which they could have spent on trying to bring down the prices of food. That was what's important for them. LGBTQ, trannies, and a whole lot of woke and a whole lot of other stuff of just finding more ways to make white people feel guilty for what happened in slavery, for something most white people had nothing to do with, even their parents had nothing to do with. But black people are constantly and Democrats and liberals are constantly coming up with ways to try to make white people feel guilty. Forget that. Give me some money and I'll be free. I don't need you to look at me with my skin color. Just put some money in my pocket. I'll live where I want to live. You cannot, if you will, be racial against me if I got the money. So we need to understand it. I clearly understand it. I'm going to help people understand it. The problem is I got to be able to reach the people with this information that needs to hear it. So when I win, and I will, but if I lose, it will be because poor people remained ignorant and they remained, if you will, captives of the pharaohs of this world by allowing themselves to continue along the lines that they were along with the most recent elections and electing people like Eric Adams. But if I lose, you need to understand, I don't have to win this race. I'm a pastor, and I've been one for a very long time. I don't have to win. And I'll tell you why I'm running in just a moment. But I don't have to win. But if I win, I'm going to be Pastor James David, stomp down, boom, shakalaka, Pastor Manning. I'm not changing. I'm not changing my stripes. I am not compromising my principles. If you don't like me, then don't vote for me, damn it. That's all they're doing. And I don't have to have this, you know. I'm not doing this because I need a place to stay. I'm not doing this because I'm on minimum wage. I'm doing this because you need a place to stay. I'm doing this because people need somebody to help them. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it to help you and to help me. And if you don't want to help me help you, then, well, the life you save, it's going to be the life you lose. So that needs to be clear. But if I lose, I will lose with integrity. I will still be James David, stomp down, boom, shakalaka, preaching Pastor Manning. Not one thing on my interior, inside of me, of my spirit, will be damaged by this race. I'm not changing it. If you don't like me, don't vote for me. That's just all there is to it. I am not going to stoop down, bend down, and be something of your, if you will, puny imagination has considered as humanity. I'm not going to embrace that to get your vote. You done lost your mind. You done lost because I don't have to have this. And I'm only doing it because you're poor. You're working class and you don't realize how the rich and the politicians, corrupt politicians, are ripping you off every day. That's not the reason why I'm doing this. I'm not doing it because of myself. No. Let's be clear. But I've survived, and by the way, stand up for this as well. I've survived as a pastor for 44 years, up and down, in and out. We've had all kinds of things happen in this church and ministry. And over the past 44 years. And it's been a joyous time for me. And the things that I have learned and come to understand have been quite valuable to me. Those things cannot and will not change. I cannot and shall not defeat or, if you will, deny my God the privilege to use me any way he wants to use me. But I believe I'll be the greatest mayor. I believe that as a Republican, now they'll call me a black Republican, will be a tectonic shift. That is to say, what causes an earthquake on the earth is when the plates of the earth underneath the surface of the earth kind of move and shift back to one another. It causes the earth to quake. I am absolutely confident because I'm so greatly hated in so many quarters. I'm so greatly misunderstood in so many quarters. I'm so greatly doubted by so many people that if I win, it's going to give people political diarrhea. I mean, they're going to be sitting on the toilet figuring out how on earth did he do it? And how can they now adjust themselves to deal with calling me Mayor Manning? How are they going to deal with that? It will be an earthquake. And everybody, and the thing that makes this so beautiful is that, and elders say people don't know me. Yeah, they do. What they know about me, they don't like, many of them. But if God gives me the victory, they will realize that God has given me the victory, and their whole world will this will be the most consequential election in American history for me. And sometimes you have to understand when there are negative things about you, don't get bent out of shape. As I told you last week, don't complain. Those negative things can be turned into a positive. And all the negative things that people have said about me all over the years, all the shots that have been taken at me, all the rocks thrown through the window, all the bad newspaper articles, all the things that people have tried to do, and nothing has harmed me. Nothing has killed me. Nothing has brought me down. In fact, I intend to go up. So it is because of the fact that Goliath was so big and David was so small that the victory was so great. If Goliath and David had been the same size, nobody would be talking about David. It's because the giants that are out there to hinder us from taking the city are so great. The victory is going to be tectonic. They're going to be talking about this on Mars. They're going to say, have you heard? The Martians are going to be saying, have you heard? Manning won the mayor of New York City. We better get our act together on Mars and Jupiter and Saturn too. Yeah. That's right. Now I could lose, but all things are possible. I could win too. No, I can. I can, and I will. But when I do, you may take your seats. I intend to inform people. If I lose, it'll be because people have remained ignorant, hate-filled, and to some degree jealous of my presence. But I do plan to become the chief administrator of poor people. That is to say, I will be on your case if you're poor and working class, like white on rice. By the way, it's nothing that will be new to me. For 44 years, I have housed the homeless. For 44 unbroken years, I have fed the hungry. More than 2 million meals. This church has seen more homeless people, more hungry people than you can shake a stick at. And it happens every day for 44 years. So if I take this pulpit, and not this marble place, but if I take that principle down to City Hall, the poor people are going to have a friend at City Hall. But I do not plan to continue to keep them poor. I have a way, like I've done with many of you and others who have ignorantly left this ministry, but I've had the opportunity to lift you up out of poverty, out of being uneducated, get you college degrees, got yourselves good jobs. I was able to do that by preaching from this pulpit. And many of y'all stand blessed today because of the power of the preaching of this pulpit. I've done it here. I've done it here. And I'll do it on a larger scale when I reach City Hall. So it won't be anything new. Job training that I have to learn. I've already done it. I'm an expert. I got 40 years of experiencing of lifting people up out of poverty and making them great people. I've already done it. And so I'll be a chief administrator of the poor. But not just that. I don't think we pay enough attention to prisons and prisoners. I'm an ex-con, as you very well know. Somebody say, are you proud of being ex-con? No, man. But don't tell anybody. I do brag about it, though. I'm an ex-con. And I think we have forgotten the prisoners. We have forgotten that there are men in prison and women as well that have potential. And it depends on how the politics are, how their families treat them, and how the government. I remember Richard Nixon had resigned as president, and I was in prison a couple of years later, 76. And all you could hear throughout the prison, well, if Richard Nixon didn't pay for his crime, I don't know why y'all making me pay for my crime. Every prisoner had that in his mouth, and he's probably right. You see, a lot of what happens in the psychology of a man in prison is that he's looking at what other people are doing and getting away with. And if other people are getting away with stuff, I mean, this thing that Eric Adams done is unspeakable. The very fact that he committed bribes, he conspired to defraud the city, he took campaign finances that were not his. The very thing that he did, and after doing it, and he is guilty, then tried to go to somebody rich so that he didn't have to go to jail. I mean, that's what most prisoners think about most politicians and most business people. They do crimes too. If you ask anybody poor, anybody homeless, anybody on the street, do you think people on Wall Street do drugs, snort coke, go with prostitutes, steal money, lie and cheat? You'll get a 100% yes. Why don't they go to jail? They don't go to jail because they got money. During the crisis of the housing crisis, the subprime mortgages, going back to 2008, and foreclosures were happening like flies in Bo McFadden's toilet. Everybody was losing their house because of subprime mortgages. The banks had given all these mortgages to people who couldn't afford to pay them, and then the collapse came in 2008. People lost their houses. Banks closed. I think AAG Insurance, whatever the name of the company, it collapsed. But not one banker went to jail. Not one person that sold a mortgage. Not one white-collar crime person. That is a scandalous shame that all those people lost their homes. Many committed suicide. And not one banker, not one Wall Street person that sold those mortgages went to jail. Why? Because they got money. We have got to expose these people. That will give people in prison the opportunity to say, wait a minute, there is justice in the society. I might want to change my life. See, a lot of men go to prison because they're mad as hell with the rest of the world. They're angry that people are getting over like fat rats. And so they have no problem robbing and killing. But if you can say to them, listen, there's justice. Listen, white-collar crime and white people go to jail just like black-collar crime and black people. There's justice for everybody. And I'm the perfect spokesperson for that. You know, I did go to jail for a crime I didn't commit. I keep telling you all that. I didn't burglarize any homes in Florida that night. I didn't. But I got a 3-year sentence for that. But anyway, I plan to make sure that prisoners know that they have a friend with me. Injustice and corrupt politicians need to know that they have an adversary. They have someone that's going to absolutely define them as to who they are. And because of the injustices, it has created a lot of poverty, crime, and homelessness. Also health issues as well. People are sick because they're poor. You're sick, you worry, you can't afford medication, you eat bad food, you get sicker. You notice that people who have wealth tend to live a lot longer, mainly because they got money. And so I plan to, y'all stand up, this is something else I want to be able to do. This is after I become the mayor in November. I would probably need that office and power and that, if you will, lectern in order to be able to have this happen, but I do plan to do it. God let me become the mayor. As the mayor of New York City, I plan to call for a week of power. Now this is going to be revised. They're going to tweak it a little bit to make it work in different ways or find some of its weaknesses or shortcomings or places where we ought to fill it with some other, if you will, input. But as the mayor of New York City, I plan to call a week of power against the rich and the privileged. And that is this. I'm going to get all poor people and working class people to fast for one day. Now, there's some people who've never done a fast, but I'm going to make it interesting. And the purpose of fasting for one day, no food consumption, no water consumption, no soda consumption, no beer consumption, no wine, no consumption, nothing going on. If you got 2 million people that are fasting in New York City, you got 2 million people one day in unity not spending any money. What does the average person spend per day on food? Heck, I think McDonald's not cost you $14 for a Big Mac and a soda or something along those lines. If you got 2 million people not spending any money, how does that affect the economy? Can the city's businesses withstand 2 million people not inputting into the economic standing of the city for one day. If that doesn't work, then we'll do 2 days. But one day will be enough to get everybody's attention, because every vendor, every business person, every bank, there'll be no deposits in a bank nowhere in New York City. For one day, no deposits. They said, well, we'll make it up the next day. No, the difference is the market looks at day to day, not what's going to happen on the next day. We need to be clear about that. Supermarkets that depend on selling a certain amount of goods every day. It may not be a big dent, but it's not the dent, it's the message that we want to send. Now, I'll tell y'all this. Now, don't y'all go out and tell all the other politicians, but I'll tell y'all this. It isn't the dent. Okay, most purveyors, most vendors, most stores, most businesses, most banks can probably withstand one day fast. The problem, what they can't stand, is when one man can call 2 million people to fast. Good God Almighty. That's what they can't stand. Well, what else can I do? If I can get 2 million people in unity, and we may get more, to follow me in a fast, well, what else can I do to stop the city from going forward? That's the thing. It's not the one-day absence of money, and that's important. But I plan to do that when I become the mayor of the city of New York. Now, don't y'all go out and tell anybody. The media is not here, so they won't, they don't want to come hear what I got to say. So they won't be responsible for telling anybody. I also plan to, when I become the mayor of the city of New York, with the working class people, to do a one-day walkout. That is to say, after the one-day fast, next thing we're going to do in the same week is that every employer that's a working class or upper class working person will not go to work that day. Yesterday we had to fast, and today nobody's going to work. All the offices, telephones ringing, nobody arresting people. Nobody running McDonald's. Nobody driving the trains. A one-day walkout of all working class people. And of course, on that day you can homeschool your children if that's what needs to take place. So now we got 2 days of 2 million people who have now taken the city by storm. They've not spent any money. They have enough discipline in themselves now to not buy a bottle of beer, a bottle of wine, hot dog. They have enough discipline that they never knew they had, in addition to the fact that the politicians and the powers that be will discover, wait a minute, if he can do this, what else can he do? What else I can do is that I can teach a people who've never had discipline before. Because fasting is discipline. I can teach a people discipline, that I don't have to do that. I don't have to take that drug. I don't have to get high. I can walk by that. I don't have to participate in that. Discipline. That's more dangerous than the fast itself. When people will then begin to say, I got power over my desires. I have power over my weaknesses. I'm no longer weak. I'm no longer a victim. I'm a victor. Pastor Manning has taught me how to be disciplined. 2 million people. Good God Almighty. Good God Almighty. And the next day we don't go to work. Well, Pastor Manning, doesn't that violate some basic principles? And aren't there certain people dependent upon the fact that if you don't go to work, some people are going to suffer? I think the thing that you have to consider, and I consider this very carefully and very prayerfully, in every war there's going to be some casualties. No, there will be. There will be. But without the war, people are dying as victims. And we have to weigh the balance between the two. So one day walkout, New York City stands still. Because if the working class people don't go to work, the rich people ain't got nobody to serve them. So they can't work either. They shut the city down. Say, wait a minute, you'll never become mayor talking that kind of talk. Why don't you shut up and mind your own business? You aren't the one running for mayor. What you know about being a mayor anyway? Never become mayor talking that kind of talk. No, that's what I'm going to do. Listen, if I have the influence to get me elected mayor, I can do this. And the other thing is that we're going to have 1 week of no television. Turn off the television. How much do they pay for the Super Bowl ads? How much do they pay how much do they pay Lamar Kendricks? Is that his name? The guy, or whoever else it is. How much do they pay these people for the commercials on Super Bowl? They do. I heard the Doritos commercial going back several years ago. $1 million for 15, 30 seconds. Is that right? Commercials. Well, television make their money not on the news that report. They don't uplift you. They make their money on selling commercials. I had Sabbath inquire about the billboard that's over Starbucks up here on 125th Street, put my picture up there, my blazing smile. Yeah, Pastor, from there. You know what they asked us? They told me, give me $50,000 for 1 month. What? $50,000 for a billboard. Nobody ever looks up to watch it anyway. $50,000. So for 1 week, we're not going to watch television. Lord have mercy. Some of the shows might cancel. Certainly the television, what do they take in? And I'll have our campaign discover what does television take in terms of advertising dollars here in New York City during the course of a week. What would be their loss if people aren't watching, products are not being sold? I'm going to hurry on with this, but I wanted y'all to understand this because I want y'all to go down to City Hall with me. I want you to take this to Jesus when you pray tomorrow morning, or you pray tonight. These things I'm saying, I want you to take it to Jesus. I want you to take it to all the people that have cussed me out, all the people that have turned their backs on Pastor Manning, all the people who said I wouldn't make it, can't make it, all the people who said that I ain't for the black man. You go tell them, here's what Pastor Manning gonna do. Have you ever heard anybody else talk about helping you like that? Never! Never! Never. So you take it, 1 week with no television, and watch out, Sir Williams. Where's Sir Williams? We're going to have a no sports week. Where's Sir? You. That's right. We ain't watching the Knicks. We ain't watching the Giants. We're not watching the Eagles. No, but no, you're in the church now. You know you're in the church. Don't be trying to sell me this. No. We're going to let all the games know ain't no games this week. You know, they make a lot of money. They make more money on gambling. Have y'all seen how they gamble on these sports? How many of y'all participate? Don't raise your hand. No sports for 1 week. Put your mind on something else other than men chasing other men up and down a gridiron or up and down a basketball court. For that 1 week, we'll develop, and I'll have to tell you about this at another time. I can't tell you now because there may be some ears listening. But it'll be a week of uplift of humanity when we have this no television and no sports week. And then finally, for the young people, a no device day. No cell phone, no iPad, no computer. I'm going to buy 500,000 pencils and 500,000 legal pads and give every child a pencil and a pad. Write in longhand and writing. When you make a mistake, erase it. Rather than typing everything and it erases and correct itself for 1 week to get you off of that. And parents can get their children back and children can get their minds back. I might extend it to beyond that 1 week. But, you know, I grew up at a time where we didn't even have a calculator. You had to go to school. If you didn't know the math, you had to make the signs. You had to write everything all down. You had to do the periods all. Now everything is done for you. I mean, as bad as I am, and I'm pretty bad, if I'm writing something on my pad, iPad, or on my cell phone, I'm typing up something, and if I spell it the wrong way, it'll say boop, and it'll spell it for me. Oh, gone. Miss Robinson would not like that. She would consider that cheating. I mean, if somebody helped you when you were writing a paper, they would consider that cheating in school. Now it's just par for the course. Pastor Manny, you were doing okay till you start messing with the young people because they ain't going to go along with it. Y'all take your seats. To my supporters, I want to say to you to choose your situation. Choose your station, rather, pardon me, of employment. As I've made up my mind to become mayor, which is a pretty lofty position, you didn't make up your mind to take a very lofty position as well. You do. Don't be afraid of saying, I can become the commissioner. You say, well, you don't know anything about education, or you don't know anything about the fire department, you don't know anything about sanitation. Well, you probably do know something about sanitation. I'm just joking. But you say, Pastor, I've never done any of these things, but I've been a member following you for years. I believe, Pastor, I can become a commissioner, never having served. You've never been a mayor before, and I'm your member, Pastor, your faithful member. You've helped me develop my life. You've helped me get you helped me graduate high school. You helped me graduate college. You helped me get a master's degree. You helped me get a good job. You helped me get my life together. Why can't I become a commissioner? Why do I put myself down? Why do I doubt myself? Why can't I do this? If anybody else can do it, who's the Marcus Aurelius, the Italian emperor who said, anything anybody else can do, he can do, or you can do? Why can't you do it? Why do you put yourself down? Why do you doubt yourself? I remember teaching some years ago that oftentimes when we're young, we get beaten down. You can't do this, you're a dummy. And that's why I told y'all, stop giving y'all's children these crazy names. You got to give your child a name that means something, like honor, for instance. That every time you say that, that empowers him. Too often, you can't do that, you black, the white man holding you down. You got to stop saying that. Ain't about to hold me down. We got to stop that rhetoric that comes from the pension-nosed Negroes all day long and nothing but garbage. We can't do this. We're being held down. We're held down. We that and the other. And when you're young, somebody, you're a dummy. You ain't got no sense. You can't make it. You ain't like your sister. You ain't like your brother. On and on and on. And why don't you do this? Or you're just like them. You're just like your daddy. And what my told me that. I said, I don't even know who my daddy is. You're just like him. Oh, God. He must have been pretty good. We have to realize, and we can have a sanitation meeting of sanitizing ourselves from how we were beat up when we were young. You see, you got Marjorie Bowman here on the front row, right? A woman went through ASS whipping when she was young, as a child. No, she did. Wasn't for Elder Bowman, she'd be dead now. Or who knows where she'd be. Wasn't for Elder Bowman, none of her children would exist. But the strain of that whooping, that spiritual, social beat down that she took when she was a young woman has filtered into her children and her grandchildren. We have to stop it. And I'm glad that she's come here and let me rebuke her, let me teach her, let me show her, because the whole family is affected by what happened to her. We have to stop saying about ourselves. That's why I don't call myself black. Now, you can call me a black Republican, but I don't identify with that madness. I'm not that. I'm not being held down by no white man. Hell, can't no man hold me down. You can't hold me down. You can't stop me. You can put me in jail. You can kill me, but I ain't quitting. All right, here I am. Come on. You don't like me? Kill me. Otherwise, I'm going pushing right through you. You can't hold me down. I don't back up. I don't quit. And that's how we have to go down to City Hall. Now, I'm going there with that spirit. But you have to have the same kind of, every last one of you sitting here, listen to me, they develop. Now, I'm somebody. I can do that. No, I can do that. I can become whatever Pastor Manning anoints me. If Pastor Manning prophesies it over me, I can do it. And I'm telling you right now. And you're never too old. People think at my age, I'll be ready to retire. How you know, retire? Did you hear what I said last week? I'm just getting started. I ain't about no retirement. Retire from what? First of all, I don't know if being pastor is a job. I don't know if it is. Fellow said the other day, said he thinks he's been called to preach. He was talking to somebody on the radio. He said, well, how you know you've been called to preach? He said, well, I woke up this morning. I didn't want to go to work, and I wanted a chicken sandwich. That's certainly the call of a preacher. I don't know if being a pastor is a job. I mean, is it really? I don't know. Ain't a job to me. Plus, some of these pastors get free housing. Y'all hear about that? So, y'all stand up. I got to hear. Here's what I want to say to you. You need to become a professional. Simply by, I had to separate myself from my actual blood mother, blood sisters and brothers, because they didn't see me. They saw me as a skinny boy growing up in North Carolina, got the living daylights beat out of me by Arthur Murphy in school one day. They saw that. They saw a person who was unathletic. I could run, but I couldn't shoot or jump. They saw me growing up with us as a son of a stepfather. They never saw me as a pastor. They never saw me as a graduate of Union Seminary. They never saw me doing this. And when they related or spoke to me, they spoke to me from a down position. And even when I was making progress and I was becoming somebody, they still wouldn't accept it. And they don't accept it today. They still don't accept it. They don't accept me having the success I have. And so what you have to realize is that you have to separate yourself. Listen, Pastor Stanley, thank God he put me in the Baptist Ministers Conference. I was a secretary. I was a very powerful person in the Baptist Ministers, 450 some pastors around New York City. And I served for like 10, 15 years as the secretary. But they never elevated me. They gave me that position because Pastor Stanley gave it to me. I was very good at being the secretary. I took good notes. I made a great presentation. I looked good standing before the church when I spoke. I spoke clearly. So they liked that, but they never promoted me to become president. Now, that's not the reason why I left. Please be clear, if anybody listening, that's not the reason why I left. But the reason why they didn't promote me is because I was Pastor Stanley's son. Moreover, I was an ex-convict. So they didn't believe that I should be the president of that group. And that is not the reason why I left the group. Trust me, that is the reason why I left the Baptist ministers group in general, the Baptist church. That's not the reason. But many people never believed in me. In fact, one preacher said to me, "Oh, you can't make it. You leave the Baptist minister conference. Boy, you can't make it. You're going to need the conference in order for you to be able to make it." The other day I was sitting at home. I was doing some work, and I think it was Elder LaFleur said, "Pastor, we have a pastor down here wants to talk to you. Wants you to talk." I said, "Who is it?" He told me who he was. And this pastor and I got started. He got installed in a church 6 months before I got installed in this one, the very same year. And his church is gone. He's out of school. I don't know where it's at now. So he said to me, "Pastor, hey, Pastor, I'm a preacher, but man, you're a great preacher. You're a great preacher." You have to recognize when people don't believe in you, separate yourself from them. Now, my teaching in preaching, you say, "Pastor, you rebuke people, you talk about tithes and offering and all that kind of stuff." Listen, if you don't want to give to this church, you don't believe in me. You don't believe that I have to eat. You have to understand something. That if you don't support, you don't believe. If you believe in something, you'll support it. Many of you used to play numbers. You believed that you're going to win. You didn't win, but you played them. You played them anyway. Here's how I see it. You may see it, I just don't feel like doing it. I got something to do with my life. But here's how I see it. I see it as someone who doesn't believe in me. Because it don't believe in this ministry. Because if you believed in this ministry, you would give your whole self. And if you haven't done that, you don't believe in this ministry. You don't believe in me. That's how I see it. So we got some empty pews in here today. But what you have to recognize if you're going to City Hall with me to be a professional, you have to recognize that there are people who don't believe in Pastor Manning, or there are people that don't believe in you. Over the years, they've criticized you. Many people have criticized you about your judgment of staying here with me over these years. Why you with that preacher? Why? He did this, he did all that. They don't believe that you made the right decision. They think going to see Reverend Catfish on Sunday is a better decision than yours. You can't let that dominate your life. You got to separate yourself. It isn't pain. When you realize what they are doing to you, you have to separate yourself. You don't believe in me. That's why I preach it. If people don't believe in me, then get out of here. If you don't believe in the breakfast program, the children that we educate. I got a notice the other day from Matos saying to me that the Spectrum bill for the downstairs computers was $1,500. They didn't pay it. We're going to cut it off the next day. The computer service coming into the school. I got another call from Bennett saying we got to order staples, supplies, paper supplies, $594 for students that we educate. Yes. If you don't believe in what we're doing, what are you doing here? Yeah. You're right. You're confused. If you don't believe in me, you don't have to vote for me. I just keep being Pastor Manning. Listen, I can do what I just said right here without being the mayor. Did you know that? Right. I don't have to be the mayor to do any of this stuff. And it needs to be clear. So the way they beat me down, my family beat me down. No, they did. They beat me down. They don't want mean people. They just like your family. But they didn't believe in me. The Baptist Ministers Conference didn't believe in me. And so I had to leave. If I can't be myself, they said, little Johnny said this down there. Little Johnny, he's a philosopher, you know, y'all little Johnny. If I can't be myself, I'll be by myself. But as this ministry has gone over the years, people have beat me down. And they're going to beat me down again. They're going to use this opportunity of my being there to beat me down. But I've got 44 years of being beat down. But that's not the issue. The issue is, can you now separate yourself? Can you now believe in yourself? Can you? You say, Pastor, I don't have an education. Anybody in here who doesn't have an education, that's rare, because everybody in here got a college degree, either a master's degree or a college degree. I told Sabbath the other day, Sabbath, you know you're going to have 3 children in college next year? My God, if Anna doesn't get out of Pratt, out of graduate school, when Anna goes in, that'll be Truth, Honor, and Anna. 3 children in college at one time. And most of y'all in here either have graduate degrees and professional jobs. People may not think so by looking at you. You can go down to City Hall with me. That's right. And we can run New York City the same way we've run this church for the last 40 years. We can do it. First by saying I'm not a victim, but I'm a victim. I'm not going to listen to these woke people always running that BS about white people did this, white people did this, white people this, white people that. We need this, we need that. I mean, I'm not going to let you make me think about myself that way. I'm made in the image and likeness of Almighty God. God made me, not the white man. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me that some man is greater or stronger than me. I'm not going to do that. I'm a victor. And the other thing that you need to adopt as well, and you can pick up on this in the message in terms of its linear or the line items, if you will, you need to learn how to live and breathe your assignment. My assignment, of course, is to be the servant of the Lord. Live and breathe it. That is, every ounce and every essence of who you are is to do who you are. Live and breathe to do what you do. Get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, just to do what you do. And do it without regrets and do it without any strain. Live and breathe. We'll quantify that a little bit more. The other thing you need to know about yourself, and before you can really stand close to me and be worthy of serving the Lord, is that you need to say to yourself, I am who I am when nobody is watching me. So I told you this wasn't a political message. I told you all that 20 minutes ago. You have to say to yourself, tell yourself the truth. I am who I am, not when I'm sitting in church, not when I'm serving before the public. I am who I am when there ain't no damn, wait a minute. Damn's in the Bible, by the way. A little poetic stuff, if you don't mind. I am who I am when nobody's watching me. That's really who I am. When somebody's watching me and I present a persona to them that I think would impress them, that ain't me. And that's why if you don't want to vote for me, you don't have to vote for me. I am who I am, and what you see is what you get. And I think once we're able to come to terms with who we are, what our faults are. Everybody's got faults. I don't know if you know that or not. There's nobody perfect, but it's a matter of what those faults and how intense you are towards preserving those faults and getting past them. Just to say this a little bit boastful, I think, but I'm really terribly a very compassionate and giving person. I am. Don't give me anything because I'm going to give it away. Don't give me anything, I'm gonna give it, or you come back and say, why did I give you that? I say, well, it's gone now. Give me some more. I am just terribly a compassionate person and a loving person. And that's why I can help the poor. People like Trump, he's just the opposite. He has he's absolutely devoid of it. He doesn't have it. You can't make him have it. Trump could give birth to twins out of his body before he could give birth to any compassion or love for anybody. The MAGA people are damn fools. Trump don't care nothing about nobody. Ask all his wives. Ask Rudy Giuliani. He's incapable. You need to know who you are. You need to know exactly who you are. And then when you find out who you are, you won't be angry with me for preaching. When you tell yourself the truth about yourself, that's the same thing Pastor Mann is saying about me.
Pastor Manning, you are the one to preach righteous and true. You're a sharecropper, son. Pastor Manning, the things you've been through, the Obama you, tribulation Trump too. Pastor Manning, you get knocked down, you get back up, you preach on holy ground. Pastor Manning, you're the one you preach righteous and true. You're sharecropper, son.
Coming to you live from New York City, it's the Manning Report with your host, Dr. James David Manning. The truth behind the news and the news behind the headlines.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Listen, it's 36 degrees in Atlanta. It's 22 degrees in Chicago with the hawk flying around out there. It's been cold across America for the last week. And I want to do a couple of things. One is that in underprivileged neighborhoods and poor people, working class people, when it gets cold, they get cold. Usually the buildings that they live in are not sufficiently designed to withstand long spells of coldness. And so the pain is felt. And I just want to offer a word of prayer. Thank God that he's brought them through while in the Midwest, there's still cold across the Midwest and all the ghettos of the Midwest. I want to say a word of prayer. First of all, thanking God that no one has perished as a result of this cold weather, and asking God to have his mercy and to send his power to get them through until the summer months. So in the name of Jesus, Almighty God, I come on behalf of the people. And now this is your weather. It's not my weather. I'm not here asking you to remove the weather. I'm not rebuking the weather. I'm not cursing the weather. I'm just saying, Lord God Almighty, protect the people. And I want it to be known that I understand what it's like. I understand growing up poor. I understand when you don't have enough power, and I understand even in our own building right here on 123rd Street, the massive amount of money and fuel that it takes to keep this building warm. This building needs at least a $7,000 to $10,000, or that kind of money could be invested in it. $10 million, rather, pardon me. So my prayers, Jesus, you've led me to let the people know that I'm praying for them. And in your name, Jesus, I lift up these prayers of mercy and blessings, and let everybody make it through this difficult season that they're going through. I ask, Almighty God, that you would touch and that you would heal and you would deliver people from this very desperate time, especially out in the Midwest. And in your name, Jesus, I pray, hallelujah and amen. All right, I want to get that done. Listen, I want to do something today on Trust in the Lord Hour. I want to tell you about a dream I had. I want to tell you that after our meeting last evening, the Open Rewards prayer meeting, where we were able to see how God synced up the 113th Psalm with a prophecy I gave when I was doing the 111th Psalm. Now, I didn't do the 112th Psalm. I forbear and allowed you to just do that by default. But I returned last evening to a word of prophecy to the barren woman, that she shall keep house and she shall be the joyful mother of children. And after having that spoken last night as a confirmation of Almighty God, and people realized that I didn't structure it, I didn't try to organize it, God organized it, we were blessed. What I want to tell you is that after I did that, then I went to rest last evening, and here's what the Lord showed me. The Lord showed me that out of a mighty storm, out of a horrific, dark event, out of a mighty tumultuous storm of thunder and lightning and darkness and earthquakes and all kinds of other death-bringing events to humanity, that I was marching through these items, that I marched through them. I marched through the storm. I marched through the earthquakes. I marched through the lightning. I marched through the wars. I marched through all of this. God showed me in a dream last evening, this morning. No, it was this morning. God showed me in a dream. And then I came out of the storm, and then there was this calm. The skies opened up and were blue. The sun was shining. The warmth of the sun was pleasant. There was grass. There were calm and still waters. There were green pastures. There were still waters. There were paths of righteousness. After I came out of this tumultuous death storm, but I wasn't afraid as I walked through the storm. The Lord showed me in this dream I had this morning. And then after I got outside of the storm along the path of righteousness, I noticed as I looked down, and I could not help because the things that were crumbling under my feet, I looked down and all kinds of gold rings, gold necklaces, gold bracelets, gold earrings, gold watches, gold, every kind of gold trinket, all kinds of different designs of gold chains and and as I was walking along the path became a path of gold, if you will, rings, watches, bracelets, the whole works of things that were gold. And the path was littered with nothing but gold, except for gold and diamonds. And then as I walked further, there were diamonds and then there were emeralds. I don't know if you've seen a great big plump grape, a really plump grape. There were emeralds that were as large as plump grapes, twice the size of marbles. And they were on these beautifully gold, if you will, settings of a gold ring that had like a net. See my hand? And then the emerald sat in that net of that beautiful gold ring. And they were everywhere. And so there was just so much gold that I just didn't know what to do, especially coming out of that storm that was so deathly. Well, it was a deathly storm. It was a dangerous storm. And now all of this beautiful gold was everywhere, the Lord showed me this morning in this dream. And then there was this one watch that I saw. There were many gold watches, but there was one gold watch that really looked something like this watch. I don't know if you can get a good look at this watch. This watch is the crown around here is gold. The leather, it has a leather strap and has a little piece of gold on and the crown here is gold, and the things where you wind it up, all that's gold. But the rest of it, but there was another gold watch, now there was watches with gold bands, all gold, everywhere, gold. But this one particular watch of black and gold, caught my attention while I could have picked up any of the gold watches, I picked up the black and gold one, and it really looked very nice. And so it looked just like this watch. It looked just like this watch I now have on. And so I said, with just so much gold, I didn't know what to do. And then as I walked a little further, there were gold pens, like this pen, these pens. They were made out of gold. And so Lord have mercy, everywhere you look, everything was made out of gold. The pens were made out of gold. The cufflinks were made out of gold. The earrings, the bracelets, all along the path was nothing but gold. The further I walked, the more gold I saw. And I was just, and there were just so many beautiful gold watches of every sort, of every kind, gold bracelets, gold necklaces, everywhere you looked. And then as I walked a little further, all the members of the Outlaw Church came to meet me. They came to meet me. I'm not sure how they did, because they had come through the storm with me. So I'm trying to figure out, how did they get ahead of me if they were in the storm with me? But God had positioned them, God had brought them through the storm. And I was the last one to leave the ship. So wait a minute, I got a lot of captains in the church, but I'm not the captain. I was the last one to leave the ship. I stayed in the storm until all the members of the Outlaw Church, everybody that's a bona fide member, that's a real member, that are people, you get the idea who's a member and who's not. But everybody who's a member, I stayed in the storm until everybody was set free. I stayed in the storm until everybody was free of the treacherousness of the storm. Then I came out. And the people met me at the end of the Gold Road. They met me with large cakes. I mean, huge cakes. I don't know if you ever seen carrot cake, right? And the moisture, the color, the ginger, the cinnamon, and the carrot cake, I think, and then the icing on the carrot cake. This was this huge chunk of carrot cake. Then there's this huge chunk of coconut cake with pineapple in the layers. On the top of the cake was white icing that was creamy and fluffy. If the wind blew across that cake, the icing would woo. And then it was sprinkled with chewy, fresh cut out of the coconut. And then in between, it was a 4-layer cake, and in between the layers was this pineapple, and mixed with a real sweet sauce. And all the cakes and all the drinks and all the people meeting me with all of this. I said, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to do it? Well, this is for you, Pastor. This is for you. And it was just a great, great, great celebration. And I was walking on gold. And the people were walking on gold, the path of gold we were walking on. And there was this great celebration. It was just tremendous this morning what the Lord showed me. It was so beautiful, just so absolutely beautiful. And then as dreams go, I woke up. I guess sometimes you wish you could keep dreaming, but I just, for whatever reason, I woke up. And I remember distinctively and I was thinking about, the other thing I was trying to think about, what was I thinking about with all that gold? And the fact that there was so much of the gold, but I was walking on it. It was everywhere. And everybody had access to it. And the more you plucked up gold, the more, and everybody, all the members of the Outlaw Church had it, and we had a beautiful party. Now, I don't think that was my birthday party. I don't think that. But all that cake, and I don't know if you've ever had German chocolate cake, if you've ever seen those kinds of cakes. I mean, every kind of cake and every kind of drink. But I didn't see any food. I didn't see no chicken. Come on, now I'm a preacher. There's supposed to be some fried chicken. And then I woke up. Maybe I woke up before I got to the place where the chicken was, and the steaks and all that kind of good stuff. Maybe I woke up too soon. I don't know. But what do you think that means? What do you think that dream meant? And, since you can't just respond to me right away, let me just, perchance it means that I'm going through, we are at the Allah Church are going through a tumultuous storm. The forces that be have brought a darkness and tried a darkness over us, over all the members of the Outlaw Church, over the children, over the school, over the ministry. The devil has brought a darkness and a threat of death. But we just keep marching. We just keep marching. And I would like to believe, now, the Lord gave me this dream, I'm sure. I'd like to believe at some point there's going to be an end of the storm. And at the end of the storm, there's going to be streets of gold, every kind of gold. And obviously, with all of that gold, I once heard, and I didn't believe it when I heard it, I once heard that gold is such a precious metal. It's so precious that if you would get all the gold that's in the earth and all the gold that's in the gold mines at present, I believe it's what I heard. Now, I don't want to make a mistake because this was many years ago. Every gold ring that's ever been made, every gold watch, every gold bracelet, every gold necklace, every gold pin, every gold tie tack, every gold cufflink, every gold ring, every gold tooth. If you would get all that gold and put it all together, it would barely fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Now, I'm not sure what the dynamics and the dimensions are of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. I'm not sure what those dimensions are. But I would imagine it would be Olympic-sized. That means if you're going to have people swimming, doing the whatever called the flip, whatever they call I forget the name of that thing that they do when you swim and all that kind of, and you one to the other, Olympic size. That's a pretty big pool, but compared to the size of the earth, that's just that look like a small container for all the gold in the world. But that's just how precious gold is. Well, that's what someone said. I pray I'm interpreting it the right way. But I have to tell you, my friends, the vision that God showed me this morning on my birthday was that That much gold had been given to, and we were walking on gold. I mean, just walking on gold and diamonds and emeralds and pearls and rubies. I mean, these were just some beautiful stones, glistening stones, and we were walking on them. We were actually walking on gold rings, gold. All the members were walking on the gold, and then we had a great big celebration with all that cake. And then maybe I woke up too soon. If I stayed awake a little bit longer, I could have had some fried chicken along with that, with some mac and cheese. But all I saw was a sweet cake, and just beautiful cakes, beautiful, thick, heavy. I mean, these cakes must have weighed, 30, 40 pounds, these cakes. And everybody was eating, and everybody was having a good time. Everybody was having a celebration. And then I woke up. Here's what I pray. I don't have this to further demonstrate. Here's what I pray. I pray that at some point we're going to come out of this storm that we're in. I pray that we, as the member of the Outlaw Church, who have been persecuted for so very long, we've gone through so many storms. We've been treated so poorly, so mean-spiritedly by so many, that at some point we're coming out. And when we come out, it just won't be peace in the valley. There just won't be sunshine, but there will be gold. And gold, the symbol of God's blessings, the symbol of God's grace, the symbol of God's power. We'll have so much gold we won't know we'll be walking on gold. We'll be on the paths of gold God will give unto us. I pray that vision, dream will come true. And I pray that was given to me today on my birthday. I pray, because today is my birthday, 20th of February is my date of my birthday. I pray that it is what it is. It is and that at some point, all of us as the members of Allah will have so much gold, we won't know what to do with it. We'll just be able to bedazzle ourselves with it. I was teaching the other day in the book of Exodus chapter 3, I think it's verse 2, verse 11, and verse 22, where God tells the men and the women, first he tells the women to go and borrow as he's getting ready to take them out of their 400 years of slavery. God tells the Egyptian, the Hebrew women to go and borrow from the Egyptian women all their gold, and he gave them favor, and they did. I think in the 11th verse, he tells the men to go and borrow all their gold, and they did. And they all walked out of Egypt on that dreadful Passover night with all that gold. They carried their gold. They carried it, rather. But the gold I saw today, we walked upon that gold. And so if God's getting ready to do something, I don't have more to say about that than what I've just told you, but I certainly believe it will come true. The issue now, many of you will probably ask, well, Pastor, how soon? How soon? Was there a time limit that we stayed in the storm? Was there a time limit before we were able to come out? Did we all come out? And did you stay until everybody was out on the ship? When will it come true, Pastor? I don't have that answer. All I have is, and at the time it was happening in the dream, I kind of stepped back. I don't know if you've ever done this in a dream, but I kind of stepped back and looked at this and I said, well, now what is all of this? Well, I was there in two persons. I was there as Pastor Manning, walking on all that gold, picking it up, looking at the emeralds and looking at the rubies and looking at the diamonds and putting it back down and looking at the rings and the bracelet and the watches and putting it back down. But I was also, as Pastor Manning sleeping, I was observing it. That ever happened to you? I was observing what I was doing. So it was like two of me there. One was the person that was coming out of the storm onto the paths of gold. And the other was me, or at least I think it was me, because I was checking. I said, well, what does all this mean? And I was looking at the gold as well. I like gold. I don't know about you, but I like gold. I guess everybody likes gold. Who doesn't like gold? But I was, there was two of me there. What does that mean? Well, I cannot share this with you, is that the fight that lies ahead of us is a tremendous battle. I hold the palm in the palm of my hand. I hold the palm in my hand the power to bring down the $1 trillion Mellon Bank and others as well, and to expose a law firm and others that have gotten rich by robbing the poor. I have the power in my hand. I have that power in my hand. And it's been going on now for several years. You've heard me talk about the foreclosure. You've heard me talk about the sale dates that they put up and how we've been able to escape them actually crushing us. You've heard about that. And many of you have contributed. Sister McMillan contributed $1 million worth of goods, of antiques, of paintings, of clothing, of jewelry. She contributed from down there in Fairmount, North Carolina. You heard about that. A Baptist pastor from down in Tennessee, now living in Texas, gave us a parcel of land down there in Tennessee. Of course, Minister Honaker gave us a 19 acres of land down there in Virginia. And others have given and given and given. We just received a Mercedes-Benz from Sister Mingo, and along with, $300,000-$400,000 worth of clothing and other items. And people, and then many of you have just given. Many of you have given $10 and $12 and $25, and you've done it consistently. You've given. And there's Goldfinger, who just keeps sending gifts. And then there's Sister Millie Biswas, and then there are people. But all of this has been going on for what? At least 5-7 years now. And we're still in the storm. We're still in the storm. It ain't over with yet. I'm not walking on streets of gold, and neither are the people of outlaw. Nobody's walking on streets of gold. We're still in the storm. But I know that I have the power in my hand. I have the power in my hand to help poor people. I have the power in my hand to help poor people like they've never been helped before. I have the power in my hand to bring poor people to a blessing that they could never even imagine. So much gold, they don't know which gold to use. And that gold would signify, as I saw this morning in that dream, a beautiful economy, a strong economy, great places to live, great food to eat, the truth to live by. I have gold in my mouth. I have gold in my mouth. I remember when I first came to New York, I had been living down there in North Carolina, and this is the absolute truth. For many years, I brushed my teeth with a twig. We didn't have a toothbrush. Now, you probably can't conceive of anything like that. I bet you Minister Honaker knows what I'm talking about. I bet you Minister Honaker and Bob Jackson, I bet you they know what I'm talking about. I bet you there are other people that know what I'm talking about. But I actually brushed my teeth with a twig. I think it was a maple tree that we would get, and we would take the bark off of it, and you could actually, it was like real stringy, and it looked just like a toothbrush. You could actually use it to wipe stuff off your teeth. And so my teeth got bad. By the time I had two of my front teeth, by the time I came to New York, it was being in the rot. So I went to this dentist, and I told him I wanted, because during those years, people would put gold in their mouth to cover up for the places where the tooth were decayed rather than having an implant. I don't know if you go back that far when people used to wear gold in their mouth. Now the rappers used to wear it too. And I said to the dentist, I want to put gold. He said, don't do that. He said, you don't want to do that, young man. You don't want to do it. So I didn't. So he did a filling on my teeth and got me to where I am pretty much until I was able to get some other work done on my mouth with some implants that came much, much later on. But I got gold in my mouth. I got gold in my mouth. I got streets of gold in my mouth. I've got Atla in my mouth. I've got streets of gold in my mouth. I got streets of gold for the poor people. I got streets of gold for poor people in my mouth. I got gold in my mouth. And not only did we walk on gold in that dream that God showed me, but I've got gold in my mouth, and I have the power in my mouth right now to set the captive free. Can I say to you, when I become the mayor of New York City, now I don't have to become, and potentially I will not, but the only reason I will not, well, the reason why I will not become is because I will not become the mayor of rich billionaires and millionaires. I'm not going to them to ask them to help me raise the $15 to $20 million I need to run this campaign. I'm not going to ask them for that. I need about $20 million, but I'm not going to ask, because there's one person can write out a check, right? I can go to some of these billionaires, and I've actually sat in the house, had dinners on Park Avenue and on the East Side. I've been in the houses of people that could write a check for $20 million and don't even think about it and say, go ahead and run your campaign. But I would be their mayor. I wouldn't be the mayor of the poor people. I wouldn't be the mayor of the working class people. I wouldn't be the mayor of I would be their mayor. When they tell me to jump, I would ask how high on the way up. I would be their mayor. If that's what it takes for me to become mayor, then I'm not going to be the mayor. I won't be it. November 2025 will come and somebody else will be mayor. It won't be me. Because if I have to go to rich people and ask them to help me financially, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. Now, the other reason is this, is that I'm going to come to you, the poor people, the working class people, the people of God. I'm going to come to you. And I'm going to ask you to help me. I'm going to ask you to give. You can give. Every person listening to me ought to make a commitment to give the maximum amount, which is $2,100. I'm going to ask you to give. I'm going to ask you to go to the website of Manning for Mayor, and then you can donate. There's a push the donate button, and it'll show you how much to give. Now, it might go up to $175, but you can give us up to $2,100 on that at the Manning for Mayor website. I'm going to ask you to give. Now, if you sit there and say, I'm not going to give, and that's what happens to politicians. So they have to go to the rich people who can write out a check by themselves to finance this whole campaign, everything I need to do. I can get it from one person. But no, I want to get it from the poor people. I want to get it from you. But I got gold in my mouth. I want you to go to manningformayor.com. and start donating. Make $25 today, or $50 today, $20, $50, $100, $200 a day, and then every week until you've given up to a total amount, and there'll be a tally every time you put your name in and put your information in. It'll tell you how much you've given and how much you can still give. It'll be right there every time until you've given up the $2,100. But you can do that. I'm not going to go to the rich people. I'm not going to them. If that's the case, I will not be the mayor. I'm sorry, pardon me, but I will not be Mayor Manning if I have to go and ask rich people, because then the rich people will use me to take money from you. And you have to listen to this. You have to understand this. You have to understand this clearly. You can't just ignore this. If I go and a rich man writes me a check for $20 million, I can buy the television time, I can do whatever else I need to do, hire staff, put out pamphlets and that kind of thing. And then and he'll call me in and tell me what he wants to do. He'll tell me he wants a tax cut for himself, tax cut for his multi-million-dollar corporation businesses. He'll tell me that. And he'll tell me to take from you. He'll tell me not to tell you the truth. He'll tell me not to defend you. He will tell me to let you stay homeless, let homelessness still, let the prison population, let the crime still, but as long as you just do what the man that paid for me to be mayor. But wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody listening to me paid for me to be mayor, whether it was $5 or $500 at a time? They're the ones that pay, and I will be taking orders from the poor people. Imagine that. Me take as the mayor of New York, probably the first time in the history of the mayor of New York that I will be taking orders from poor people. It'll be the poor people that would be telling me what to legislate. It'll be the poor people that are telling me what and where to cut taxes. It'll be the poor people who are telling me what needs to happen with homelessness. It'll be the poor people that tells me how to run the city. It'll be the poor people. It'll be the poor people that will be running the city of New York, and I will be their chief administrator. It will be the poor people, not the rich, not the billionaires, not privileged, not the classes. It'll be the poor people. And I will be the chief administrator of the poor people, of those that are sick, of those that are in prison, those that are homeless, those that are naked. I will be the administrator of the poor people, of the poor people. And by doing the things of the poor people, because poor people don't have a greedy and a vicious and a diabolical heart like the rich people. The poor people are humble. The poor people are merciful. The poor people are givers. The poor people are spiritual. The poor people will bring righteousness. The poor people, and I will be the chief administrator of the poor people of this city. And it will affect the world. It will affect people in Lincoln, Nebraska. Yes, it will. It will affect people in Sacramento, California. Yes, it will. It will affect people in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in Atlanta, Georgia, in Ocala, Florida. It will affect people all over America. My being the chief administrator of the poor people, wherever poor people are found, no matter what town, even if they don't live here in New York City, but if they live under the qualifications of the poor people, then it will affect them. It will affect their lives no matter where they live. And so the poor people, and by the way, you can't vote for me if you don't live in New York. You can't vote for me if you're not a Republican, even if you live in New York. But you can donate. There's no restriction on you donating. And if you're a member of the poor people, and by the way, if by poor, I mean you're earning less than $700,000 a year. That's what I mean is poor. That's what I mean is poor. Well, actually, the U.S. Census Bureau and the IRS considers poor people as people that are earning less than $400,000 a year. If you're not earning up to $400,000 a year, then you're poor. Yep, you're poor. So no matter where you live, you can donate. You can't vote, but you can donate. And then once I become the chief administrator, I will become the chief administrator of America's poor people. I will become the chief administrator of America's working class people, no matter where you live. Though I'm the mayor of the city of New York, my voice, because I got gold in my mouth. I got gold in my mouth. I got gold for the poor. I got gold for the needy. I got gold for the sick. I got gold for the homeless. I got gold in my mouth. I will be the chief administrator of all poor people in America. So you're donating to me. Don't miss this opportunity. I'm not going to go to rich people. I just won't be the mayor. It'll just end up that I don't end up being the mayor because I'm not going to the rich people. I've been sent to the poor people. I've been sent to preach the gospel to the poor, and now as an administrator, I will be sent to administrate to the poor. Jesus said, when John the Baptizer asked him if he was the one or should we look for another, Jesus said, the poor, not the rich, the poor has the gospel being preached to them. I've been sent to the poor. I'm going to come to you as poor people, no matter where you live. You can live in Chicago, Illinois, or you can live in Lexington, Kentucky, or you can live in Columbia, South Carolina. You can live in Raleigh, North Carolina. You can live in Vermont, Maine. I've been sent to the poor people. I'm not going to the rich. I will not violate my God's belief and anointing upon me and go and ask the rich people to help me to become mayor. I'm appealing to the poor people all over America. I will be the chief administrator to the poor people. To the poor people, when I become the mayor of the city of New York, to the poor people around the world will feel the impact of my becoming the mayor of the city of New York. The poor people, I will be the chief administrator. I will not, I pledge to you on the word of Almighty God in the name of Jesus, I will not go to the rich. I will not be paid for by the rich. I will not. It appears that the greatest example of that is that Donald John Transgender Tribulation Trump allowed Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, to donate $280 million on the top of the table. Well, listen to me. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, gave Transgender Tribulation Trump $280 million to his campaign. That's what he gave on the top of the table. What he gave underneath the table to other people, to other administrators, to vendors, to all kinds of other services that was not recognized by the accounting, the compliance people of campaign funding, who knows how much else he gave. And now he owns Trump. That's right. He owns Trump. Whatever he tells Trump to do, Trump jumps. When Elon Musk said jump, Trump jumps. When Elon Musk said rump, Trump jump, rump, chump, Trump, chump. When Elon Musk said, hey, chump, Trump, jump. Hey, chump, Trump, jump, jump, Trump, chump, chump, Trump, jump, 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 jump. Hey, Trump, hey, chump, hey, Trump, hey, chump, hey, chump, Trump, hey, chump, hey, chump, hey, Trump, jump, 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 Trump, jump, chump, jump. When Elon Musk said, chump, Trump got to jump. But I'm not going to the rich. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. You can turn a deaf ear because you got it by you now. You got that $25 by you now. You got that $100 by you right now. And you got over the next few months $2,100 that you can give to the campaign. You got it. You got it by you now. I'm coming to you. I will be the administrator of the poor. I will not go to the rich. So now what you're going to do, and how are you going to do it, and when are you going to do it? So I got gold in my mouth. I got gold in my mouth. Now, let me just go back to the vision that I had, and then I want to do a couple of things before I turn you loose here today. That this gold, when we all came out, just like when the slaves came out of Egypt, they had gold, but they didn't have the kind of gold, so much gold you could walk on. The streets were paved with gold when I came out that storm. Lord have mercy. When the darkness left and the sun began to shine and the clouds began to move and the sky turned blue, I looked under my feet. I was walking on emeralds and diamonds and gold and precious stones and pearls, all the beauty that God had us walk on. And then God had a great big celebration. I don't know if it was a birthday cake or not, but there were some beautiful thick cakes. I mean, these cakes were so heavy. Lord have mercy. So what you're going to do, it's up to you. You can let me not become mayor because I'm not going to go to the rich. I'm not going to go. I know rich people. I know a man right now, lives right here in New York City, lives on Park Avenue, downtown there by Trump's Plaza, Trump's Hotel. He lives right around the corner from Trump's. I know him. I've been to his house. I've had dinner at his house. I've had dinner with him. I've had several meetings with him I know him well. He's one of the richest real estate developers right here in New York City. One of the richest I've ever seen, right here in New York. He could write out a check the way you give out 2 pennies to somebody. $20 million to him would be like 2 pennies to you, because that's how he got it. But I ain't going to him. I'm not going to serve him. If someone runs away, you're not going to be the mayor of the rich people? No. I'm going to have the rich people give to the poor people what I'm going to do. And let me finally end by saying this, that the Mellon Bank will have to file for bankruptcy. As they have done unto me, so shall it be done unto them. And you know the other thing is that there have been a lot of crooked lawyers. Over the last 9 years, we ran through a whole litany of crooked lawyers. Do you know we have spent over $700,000 in lawyers? And that's the reason why we haven't lost this building. Most churches, even some of the huge churches, wouldn't have had, and here in Harlem and other places, would not have had that kind of money. But the blessed people of America, the poor people and the people of Allah, gave me money. They kept giving me money, and I've been able to hire lawyers and be able to do things. We run out of money, and I was dead broke right now, but the coffers will fill up again. No, they will. We spent over $700,000 in lawyers. And the very fact that I stepped out as a lawyer, the Mellon Bank will have to file for bankruptcy. And Eric Adams, I believe this with all my heart, if Eric Adams, who's now publicly humiliated, no matter what happens to Eric Adams, he stinks in the nostrils of everybody. He is not even any good or used to jump, Trump, jump, transgender tribulation Trump, chump, Trump, jump, chump, Trump, even even Eric Adams is no longer any use to him. And I think this is one of the things that was, I'll be covering this in the next section. Judge Ho here in New York, federal district court judge, had a hearing. I don't think Eric could even resign. I don't think Trump gonna let him resign. But his name is mud. He is the one of the most despicable. I mean, he's worse than Giuliani. I mean, Lord have mercy. See what happened to Giuliani when he went to the rich man? See what happened to Giuliani? And now see what happened to Adams? You don't want to send me to the rich man. If you sit here and you listen to me, make this appeal and know no matter where you live in America, if I become the mayor and the chief administrator of the poor, when I become the mayor and chief administrator of the poor, it's going to bless you. It doesn't matter where you live. You can live in El Paso, Texas. It's going to bless you. You can live in Mobile, Alabama. It's going to bless you. You're going to feel the power of me being the mayor. But you have to give. You have to donate. Go do it now and do it every time you get your hand on $1. Go to manningformayor.com. Every time you get your hand on $1, go to manningformayor.com and donate and donate and donate and donate. Donate and donate and donate. And then tell everybody else, donate. Now, yes, I am a Dwight D. Eisenhower, Colin Powell, Ronald Reagan, James Brown Republican. Many of y'all are Democrats, but the Democrats ain't done you no good. You know that's true. You know that's true. They've not done you any good. But you know me. I got gold in my mouth. And are you going to be one of the ones that can walk on those streets of gold? I mean, these are actually islands of gold. This wasn't just a street of gold I walked on in that dream. These were islands of gold in a great big party. Are you going to be a part of that? Because it's coming. It's coming, my brother. It's coming. But you know, I believe that Eric Adams is suffering right now because he refused to help me. I believe that. And I believe right now, if Eric Adams, I don't know if anybody listening to know him, if Eric Adams will say, I'm going up to see Pastor Manning. He went to a church this past Sunday called the Maranatha Baptist Church. If they had 10 members in there, they had 10,000. That church, you could drive a tractor. Here's the mayor of the city of New York standing up in the church and ain't got nobody in there. He got 3 choir members sitting up there with their old self in a robe. He got the preacher, and the preacher's wife, and 2 other people. And he up there yelling and preaching like he's preaching Jimmy Swaggart or somebody. I mean, it was a scream. But Eric, you can come here. Eric, you can come in. I don't know how much good it's going to do you. I don't know how much good it's going to do you. But when I become mayor, Eric, I might be able to help you out. But I went and I asked you for help, Eric. I went and I asked you for help. You wouldn't do it. You thought you had it going on. Boy, you thought you were the cat's meow. You thought you were something. You the mayor of New York, but you wanted it illegally. Eric, you went to the rich people. You went to the rich man. You got the money from the rich. You didn't get it. The poor people didn't give to you. And you became rich. You became the mayor because the rich man put you there. Mayor Adams, you have the authority in your hand to release our church and school from this discriminatory tax lien law and the foreclosure actions that the courts have enjoyed. Show some support for working class people and set our church free. I mean, you know, all Eric, and I went down to City Hall and asked him to do this. He refused. So on the campaign trail, you're going to hear me talking about, on the campaign trail, you're going to hear me talking about that I asked Mayor Adams, and he could have just, I decided he could have come to our pulpit, call a press conference, and say, courts, Mellon Bank, set this church free. The city would be responsible. He could have done all he could do that right now. And we have served over 2 million meals to the city of New York. Never asked for a penny. No federal funding, no state funding. We have graduated over 500 students out of our schools. No state funding, no federal funding. And yet, I asked him to set our church free from this water and sewer bill, and he won't do it. I mean, what kind of devil is Mayor Eric Adams and all the other city officials also that won't do it? That's why I've got to become mayor. These devils, listen, all the city council, the mayor's office, it's a church for crying out loud. We've served 2 million meals and everybody knows it. We've graduated over 500 students from our school, and yet they want to shut it down. Why? Why, Eric? Why, Eric? Why are you so mean-spirited? Why are you so hard-hearted? I'm going to raise it against you. I pray that after the primary, it'll be me and you on that debate stage. And every time I open my mouth, I'm going to remind the world how you stood by and watched them threaten and put our church and our children on death row when all you had to do is just say the word. But you wouldn't do it. You would not do it. Why, Eric? Why? Why? I am running as the first black Republican mayor of the great city of New York. I am a President Dwight D. Eisenhower, Ronald Reagan, Colin Powell, James Brown Republican. Please help me bring justice to this great city, New York. And my being mayor will touch people all over the world as the first black Republican. Go to manningformayor.com and donate today. I urgently need you to help me unseat this corrupt Mayor Adams. Thank you so very much. I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. I want to tell this to you. I don't know if I've ever shared this before, but we ran the breakfast program, and this church and the great members of this church and staff have served over 2 million meals to the people of this community. And let me tell you why. The Bible says we should do it. We should feed the hungry. But when I first came home from prison, I was living with my sister, and I stayed with her for a year. I didn't have my own place, and she would cook. She was a really good cook, very good cook. And her husband was an even better cook than she was. And they would make a lot of really good food, comfort food, beef stew and, mashed potatoes and fried chicken and that kind of thing. A lot of comfort food, cornbread, black-eyed peas. And when they cook it, but when I would sit down at the table, I would not eat as much as I wanted to. I would, what was put on my plate, I would eat that. But I didn't ask for seconds. Now listen, let me be clear about it. My sister nor her husband, my brother-in-law, never once intimated to me that I couldn't eat till I was full. They never did that. But because I knew I was sitting at another man's table, I didn't have my own. Now, I'm a grown man, and I'm sitting at another man's table. I ate modestly. I didn't eat till I was full, because I was pretty good eater at that time. I can go pretty good now. But I would look at the food that was still on the table, the food that was still in the pot, and I'd get up from the table. I just didn't want to look like I was greedy. I was sleeping in another man's house. I was using another man's toilet. I was using another man's toilet paper. I was eating from another man's table and plate. So I had to be very modest about that. That went on for a year. I'll never forget that. Now, my family, my sister and my brother-in-law, they never intimated to me that I was eating too much or that I should cut back. I never got that spirit. But I govern myself accordingly. So I feed people. And I put all the food on the table. Elizabeth, put all the food on the table so people can see it. I feed people. You want seconds? Come on back. You want thirds? Come back. You want four? Come back. I don't put no limit on. I feed people, and I will always do that. I do not skimp. I let people eat because I know what it's like to sit at the table and walk away after you've eaten and still be hungry. No, when you walk away from my table, you walk away from Pastor Manning's table, you're going to be full. Now, food is very expensive. It is going off the charts what we have to pay to buy food to feed people. I'm asking you to help me. I'm asking you to give to our breakfast program. I'm asking you, see that logo there, to give to the children's breakfast program? I'm asking you to give. Help me feed people. If you know what I'm talking about, if you know that experience, for a year I sat at a table and I didn't eat till I was full. For a year, I didn't ask for seconds. For a year. Now, again, I am not throwing any shade on my family. They fed me, but I governed myself. For a year, I sat down at a table and I didn't eat till I was full. Can you help me feed the children? Can you help me feed the families? Can you help me by donating to the Outlaw Breakfast Program? Will you do that? The food is very expensive. The year is coming up now, and it's going to be even more expensive. But I want people to be able to eat. I've never turned away anybody from the doors of this church. Never in 40 years. You come here, I'm going to feed you. You want seconds? I'm going to give it to you. Until the pot's empty, I'm going to feed you. That feeling I had sitting at that table, looking at that beef stew and that cornbread, and knowing I would like another piece of it, another scoop of that beef stew with the carrots and the potatoes and the gravy, and the cornbread, thick and hot, but I got it from the table. But I made up in my mind, I'm going to feed people. Hunger is something I'm going to cure. I'm going to cure hunger. I'm going to cure hunger in Harlem, and I'm going to cure it when I become the mayor of the city of New York. I'm going to cure hunger in New York City. I'm going to cure it. Now, the word is cure, but my southern tongue gets all tangled up from time to time. Will you help me? Will you support? Will you donate to the Outlaw Breakfast Program?
Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. I don't know which way to go. A lot of things that I just don't know. Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. It's a long, dark road, and I carry a heavy load. Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. Jesus, lead me to the promised land. I don't know which way to go. Jesus, will you take my hand? Jesus, Allah, is the only place I know. Is all I know.
Satan, we're gonna tear your kingdom down. Oh, Satan, we're gonna tear your kingdom down. You've been building your kingdom all over this land. Satan, we're gonna tear your kingdom down. Satan, we're gonna tear your kingdom down. Oh, Satan, we're gonna tear your kingdom down. You've been building your kingdom all over this land. Satan, we're gonna tear your kingdom down. Satan, we're gonna preach your kingdom down. Oh, Satan, we're gonna preach your kingdom down. You've been building your kingdom all over this land. Satan, we're gonna preach your kingdom down. Satan, we're gonna pray your kingdom down. Oh, Satan, we're gonna pray your kingdom down. You've been building your kingdom all over this land. Satan, we're gonna pray your kingdom down. Satan, we're gonna sing your kingdom down. Oh, Satan, we're gonna sing your kingdom down. You've been building your kingdom all over this land. Satan, we're gonna sing your kingdom down. Help me sing it, y'all.